I'm Erin Lee and I'm Head of Archive at the National Theatre. My classics journey began at school, so I studied Latin from the age of about 11. I studied that through standard grade and into higher and advanced higher whilst I was at school. I then studied Greek to higher level in my gap year after school had finished, and that was alongside one of my amazing Latin teachers from school who was willing to come and teach me Greek on Saturdays during my gap year, and that was a fantastic introduction obviously to another ancient language and another ancient world to explore. I don't think I did always know that I wanted to go into classics. When I was at school, I loved Latin. I loved the challenge of the language, and I was particularly excited when during my advanced higher level qualification I looked at prose composition, so translating from English into Latin, and I particularly loved the nuance and the challenge of the language translating that way. But I also really loved maths, and I really thought my future would lie with maths. And I did find a university course that taught maths and Latin, which I know sounds quite unusual, but that actually sounded quite appealing to me when I was 16. But I ended up following the pure classics route. And I would say that that was a really good decision for me, and I did really enjoy that, but it probably wasn't something that I had always intended to do necessarily as I was growing up through school. So in terms of what I love about classics, what I really enjoyed during my university years was just how diverse the subjects are that you have the opportunity to study. So you obviously have the language, which is what I had experience of before. So Latin language, Greek language, and all the technicalities and challenges that those languages bring with them. You also then get ancient history, which is a different way of learning and a different way of writing essays, different sorts of information and knowledge that you get to share. But then you also get philosophy and logic, which again was very different to the sort of language and history work that I was used to. But then the bit that I actually really loved at university was archaeology. And that's not something that I had done at school. I had no experience of archaeology. And so that really gave quite a creative outlet, because you're studying and commenting on amazing artworks from the ancient worlds. And again, is a different skill set to what you might be engaging with in other areas of the subject. And so that's what I particularly loved. You're able to find your niche and to develop in that area, and really it doesn't narrow down your choices in what you study whilst you're at university. I think in terms of how classics has impacted my career, it's an interesting one, because I think I'm one of many classics students who sort of think during their third and fourth years, oh, what am I going to do with this degree? And really classics opens so many doors. The skills and techniques and the academic rigour of a classics degree are an amazing foundation stone for you to then go into the career that you want to go into. So for me, that was librarianship. I think during my classics degree, I spent a lot of time in libraries, and I went on to become a qualified librarian and archivist. And I think having such a broad base in terms of your undergraduate is incredibly helpful in any career that you then move on to. And I would say in my current role at the National Theatre, it's incredibly useful in terms of the Greek drama that we stage at the NT. So we're currently creating a series of short form films with a classics academic at the University of Durham, Lucy Jackson, and together we're creating these short form films for school students and university students and the general public, so anyone who's interested in Greek drama, to explain how you take an ancient text off of the page and how you get it up on its feet and on stage, and looking at what the archive materials can tell you about that production and about the decisions that the theatre practitioners were making behind the scenes as to why the production has ended up the way it did on stage. So obviously it's fantastic that I have my classics background to be drawing on, to give a lot of context to those productions, and to give me the confidence as an archivist to be talking about the subject matter within my own archive. For anyone thinking about studying classics, I would say go for it. I haven't regretted it for a second. There is so much that you can learn and experience, and so many subjects that you will be exposed to. So you will really be able to find your niche, find the area that you love the most, and explore it in lots of detail. It's also a great basis from which to step off into whatever career you want to have. And I would say that rounded background with academic rigour will stand you in good stead in whatever career you want to start with.